You know, let me go ahead and talk about it. This is DJ Wolf Live. You know, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta talk about it, man. And I've talked about it before, but I think it's something that, I think when you get older, this is my birthday month. I'll be 56 towards the end of October, and I kind of feel like, wow. I mean, I'm still a relatively moderately younger person, but not as young as I used to be. 56, and I'm getting those gray spots on my face and stuff like that. Called hair, and my walk is not as striveful as it used to be. Still got pep, but it just, I don't know, man. I guess getting older, man. My dad said it years ago, and he was kind of right. Getting older sucks, but it's what they call the circle of life. You want to get older at some point. You live long enough, you're going to do that, and I'm thankful for that. I really am. But it's just the fact that a lot of things, and I think about it often, and even at times emotionally, like I'm doing now. You can't tell, but at times you think about things that you could have done when you were younger and you regret. Things you probably shouldn't have done when you were younger and you regret. And that's where it gets emotional for me. It's like, wow, I think about a lot of things. Like, maybe I should have went and did 4 years of college. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't do 4 years of college. I'm thankful that I was able to get my kid through college. You can't say, hey, you didn't have to try to help me get a better education. I did. Or maybe I should have spent this money. If I had kept that money in here, I could have done some bigger, better things with, within the family and the house and all that other stuff. And just a lot of things you have regrets about. And you think about that throughout life. Why didn't I just do that? Why did I go through trouble and did this and didn't do what I should have done? I think about that all the time. And I ain't gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it hurts like hell. It truly does. It do. It just, man. But it got me thinking about, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I thinking about what I couldn't have done and what I should have done and what I shouldn't have done? Life is not about regrets. Life is about moving up and moving on. Life is about progression. It is. Life is progression. In essence, you keep moving on, But this past year, I had so much reflection that's been going on in my life. And I can't help it, Let me tell you a story about that. Growing up in Ohio wasn't easy for me. It really was not. You had overbearing parents who, in some cases, always remind you of how they grew up and how they regretted being in a relationship with one another and stuff like that, and then made you feel like you were responsible for why they stayed together. And it made me feel very uneasy about myself. And it was almost like guilt shaming you about their personal issues and problems that had nothing to do with you. Yet it was guilt shamed on you. And it shouldn't have been. Should have never been bestowed upon you in the first place. Because it wasn't your fault. You know? I felt that way for a long time. You know? Although I'm over it, but sometimes it still hurts. You know? As an adult. And I think about, well, damn, I could have been doing this for this person, or I could have been doing this for that person. And you just don't know. It's just like, man. I was thinking if things would have been different, maybe my life would have been a lot better than what it is now. It's not a bad life, but it could have been better. You know? I'm just thankful to be alive and have all my limbs and everything, and my ability to see and do a lot of normal things that I need to do in life anyway. You know. But being guilt shamed as a child, and they talked about this on the radio too, was something that I dealt with a lot. Having a parent put the brunt or the burden of their marriage on you as a child was really, in essence, excuse my French, and for lack of a better term, fucked up. You don't do that. I never did that to my kids. Never. Because it wasn't their problem. It wasn't their issue. You know? Should have never been addressed. And that, if there was a regret that I had, that's the one regret I think I always had, that I've never actually challenged my father about why the fuck you did that shit. That should have never happened. I take that back. Yes, I did. I did it back about 20 years ago. We had got into a verbal altercation about that. And he thought he was right about it. He thought he had righteous indignation about it. You know. And then try to make you feel stupid about it because you asked about it. You know. Telling me, you know, hey, I can understand if you was kids, but you ain't. Okay, the point was we were kids and you didn't. And it was wrong. You know, and which is what I told him. You know. But it's just the fact that at the time, and not then, but when I was younger, it made me feel that I was wrong for not doing, for not trying to accept it, for not trying to understand it. You know, when I knew all along that something about it just wasn't right. You know. But you always had these other adults telling you, oh yeah, you need to listen to your folks. They know they know what they're talking about, and he had a hard life, and blah blah blah. But you're having a hard life dealing with that. About something that was bestowed upon you that had nothing to do with you, nothing that was ever in your control. As a child. At that. You know. For the most part, I realized over the years that it wasn't on me, it was on them. But like I said again, it was one of the things that at the time I did regret, was not challenging my parents more about that. About the fact that, you know, call them out. Not argue with them, but call them out, tell them how wrong it was. And actually, over times I did that, we actually had even worse confrontations. You know, as a result of that. As a direct result of it. But as adults who raise kids today, my advice on that is try to have a better understanding with your children. A lot of times you don't know what your kids are going through, whether it be peer pressure, school pressure, or anything else beyond that. Listen to them. Let them have the talk. Let them have a say-so. Let them have their own opinion on certain things. Yeah, you got to guide them and teach them right from wrong. But they're also entitled to have their own opinions about certain things. Even if they're wrong about you, correct them. You rightly correct them for what they need to do that's right versus what they don't need to do that's wrong. And why I say this is because I knew in my hearts of hearts my folks was wrong about things like that. You don't put the burden of your personal relationship to your kids as though your kids were responsible. I hold that on their heads for all their lives growing up. That was wrong. And I think it's one of the reasons why I don't deal with a lot of my family because of that. And although at times sometimes I feel miserable, and even at times I feel lonely, I'm not going to front. But I'm content. I'm not going to go into details about why I'm content now versus dealing with that mess. But I'm very content. I don't deal with a lot of mess. I don't deal with a lot of drama. I just do my own thing and mind my own business and live my own life the way I want to live it. That part is true. And that part is good for me, for my soul. So I can get on and move on with my life and not deal with bullshit from other people. Because that I'm not going to deal with other people's mess. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to love my life. And not worry about, if you were doing this, that. I ain't worried about that no more. Life's too short for all that. When you spend time trying to be there for your family and, help out your family when needed, and times where you do that and they don't even appreciate it, it's time to move on. It's time to cut that toxicity off. And in many cases, you have to. Because if you have your own family outside of your family that you were raised by or family you grew up with, then guess what happens? It affects your family within your own household. And I was not going to let that happen. I put a stop to that real quick. I had to. As a man, I felt that whole thing had to be put. I had to put a stop to it. Even though my closest of family didn't like it, but I didn't care. I'm not going to let you steal the joy within my family of my nucleus versus the family that of my relatives to destroy it. I was not going to let you destroy it. You can't. We can't do that. No, none of us are perfect. And Lord knows I'm not. But I know one thing I'm not going to let people do is destroy my joy. Especially a joy that I've had for over 3 decades. Unless somebody come in and mess it up. Are you serious? It's not going to happen. Before I let that happen, I'll cut off my bloodline. Before I let that happen. Because like I said before, I don't know them people anymore. Some of us are going through it right now. I've watched a couple of TV shows where people were going through the same thing. And they had to, straighten them out. Sometimes you have to make that sacrifice, man. For your own sanity purposes. Because I had to do it. It's something that you don't really want to do. But you may have to do it. It's a necessity that you don't want to go there with, but you may have to. And I'm not going to lie, it hurt like hell. I remember the day I went through it last year, I sat on the porch and cried for 20 minutes, man, while I'm talking to my relatives about the situation. And I was very hurt by it. And it continued throughout the rest of the week. And I said, when I left, I'm going to straighten that out. I will not go through nothing like that with my family ever again. Before I let that happen, I won't deal with it. And I meant what I said. These families now, when you move out the nest and you do your thing, and someone may do the thing or someone may not, and you get back around, they get really envious of you. I've had that. That's happened for me for years. It's almost like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to get ahead. You ain't supposed to have a great relationship. Something that I didn't have. Yeah. One of them was telling me, oh, man, I'm by myself and blah, blah, blah. It's just me and, whatever I have in the house and that's it. Like it was my problem. And when I heard that, it was like my dad was talking to me all over again about personal issues he had with my mom and the family. That's not my problem. Your relationship was not my issue with her. The relationship with her was not my issue. It was never, and I felt I was going through the same cycle of bullshit with my other relative. I was going through the same thing. They give me a sob story about what they were dealing with in their personal life. I said, I don't want to hear all that. That's not my problem. But in essence, they try to make it my problem. It was not my problem. And that was wrong. And when I said, I don't want to go through that no more. I had to cut it off. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody's listening. When it comes to family, man, family is everything. But if they get too toxic, man, sometimes you got to cut them off. You got to cut them off. It's the worst feeling in the world to have to do that. And Lord knows, it's not something that I ever wanted to do. That's the honest to gospel. I did not want to do that. On one of the worst days of my family history, man. The tragedy that happened. And I didn't want to go there. I did not. But they brought it out there and gave me no choice but to cut them off. And it hurts. It's been over a year. It still hurts me to this day. But people, I'm going to tell you right now, it gives you a better peace of mind when you do. When you leave that toxicity, when you have no recourse, when all you did was drama and bullshit, and people not answering the phone, or when they answer the phone, cussing you out for no reason, instead of talking to you reasonably, you had your fill. You just had your fill. That was it. There's nothing else more to do at that point. It's just to be progressive with your life and move the hell on. That goes for anybody who's dealing with that. Anybody. They always say blood's thicker than water. But sometimes you gotta move on. Sometimes you gotta cut the ties off, man. Cut off the ties. You gotta cut ties. That's all there's to it. You ain't let people drag you down, not even family. That's all I gotta say about it, guys. I hope there was a thought that would help you deal with what you're dealing with. My only other suggestion is if you needed further assistance with that, actually, get professional help with that, with your family, like a family counselor or something like that. I strongly recommend that. I tried that, where I made that suggestion, but then I decided, it wasn't for me. No one wanted to do it anyway, so you can't really force it, but that's a suggestion. You may want to get a counselor for your own personal self. But sometimes, man, it's just best to just cut the ties, man. Not deal with the drama. Because drama is something that we need less of in our lives, especially in 2020. This is DJ Wolf. I got more to say on the back burner about this and other subjects here. Of course, feel free to drop me a line. DJ Wolf, @ForAllToHear on Twitter. DJ Wolf Live at AOL.com. And of course, you can catch my on-demand episodes on both Spreaker at Spreaker.com/DJ Wolf and on YouTube for All to Hear TV, FORALL TV on YouTube. And you can also leave a comment in the comment section as well. That's all I got, guys. This is DJ Wolf. I'm out.